Right, so with the iPhone event over, let's now shift our focus to the October event and when we can expect this and exactly what to expect. And so yeah, let's delve into it. So let's first talk about when we should see this event take place, and there are some hints regarding this. So number one, the 14 Plus does launch on October 7, and of course, in the past with devices that launch later, Apple does like to reconfirm those dates at another event. For example, the iPad Air 4 was announced at the September event, but then had an October release, alongside the iPhone 12 series, and so similar to that I could see new iPads and Macs launch alongside the 14 Plus. But maybe that's too early, in which case there is another hint. The back to school promo in Europe ends on the 17th, and of course, Apple does not usually announce new products when that promo is active to prevent consumers from getting deals on new products, and so similar to what they did last year, I could see the event taking place on the week commencing on the 24th, the week after this promo ends. So yeah, basically we are a few weeks away from this event, and now you may be wondering, what can we expect? Well, there are many products that are of course rumored to launch, but the two ones that I think are very likely are the iPad 10 and of course the M2 iPad Pros. Now these iPads releasing at this event make sense because we've seen iPads release in October in the past, but also these iPads are due for refreshes. The iPad 9's over a year old now, and of course the M1 iPad Pro is going to be 18 months old, so of course that fits with the usual refresh cycle for these products. Now beginning with what to expect with the iPad 10, there is confusion regarding this. Some expect no redesign, but some others say there's going to be a redesign, and then we have others saying it's going to be a hybrid design of sorts with an iPad 9 front and the flat sides from the iPad Pros. So yes, I'm not sure exactly what's going to be the case, but we can expect a design change. But to be honest, I could care less about a redesign. What I'm hoping Apple gives us is the iPad Air 3 design, so of course, a larger panel that's laminated, Touch ID Gen 2 support, and overall a thinner and lighter chassis. And actually iPad 9 rumours were suggesting that would be the case, but it wasn't, and so let's pray the iPad 10 turns out to be this, because of course without a major redesign there would not be a price increase, and so retaining a similar design for the most part, but with a panel that's laminated, is the perfect iPad. And one could argue giving this flat sides like the rest of the iPads could cannibalize the iPad Air, since right now there's not many M1 exclusive features, and so you're basically getting a similar iPad experience for a much lower price. And so till the iPad Air gains mini LED or OLED, I don't see any major redesign for the budget iPads, and the iPad Air 3 design would be perfect. However, the other upgrades are just as confusing because we have reports regarding Type-C support, and this would kill first-gen pencil support for these iPads, since right now you connect the pencil to the Lightning port, and so with the Type-C ports, we would be forced to have flat sides with this iPad and Apple Pencil 2 support. So once again, we're back to square one regarding the design, but to be honest, I would not be surprised if Apple does give us an Apple Pencil 1.5 with a Type-C port, or of course they stick to the Lightning port. And yeah, considering that Apple has one more year to switch to the Type-C port according to EU laws, I would not be surprised if they do wait for the iPad 11 to get the Type-C port and also flat sides instead. Anyways, the other rumoured upgrades are pretty straightforward. We're going to see the A14 chip in this, that makes sense, and also 5G support, which of course has plagued most of the iPads, so it's about time the budget iPad follows suit. Now moving on to the M2 iPad Pros, there are quite a few upgrades. The main upgrade's gonna be MagSafe, so now you can wirelessly charge the iPad, but also reverse wirelessly charge other devices, and I think this would be convenient on the go because if you're traveling with this iPad, it can essentially be a massive power bank and charge your other devices. Now for those hoping the 11-inch is going to get mini LED, unfortunately that's not going to be the case. It seems Apple's had massive success upselling consumers to the 12.9-inch size with the M1 variants, and so they're going to continue doing that and keep mini LED exclusive on the bigger size. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to that because right now the 11-inch Pro and the M1 Air feel way too similar, so of course giving the 11-inch mini LED would have helped differentiate it, but that's unfortunately not going to be the case. Now as for the chip, obviously we're getting the M2 in this, and that's going to be a decent upgrade over the M1, but of course, do remember iPad software needs to get better and of course, take advantage of all this power, so until we see that, these performance upgrades are kinda redundant. And what's even more pointless is that we're going to see 24 gigs of RAM with these iPads, since the M2 comes with it. I'm assuming it's only going to be available with the 2TB storage tier, but of course, it's still overkill for the iPad. Now because we're getting MagSafe, Apple could remove the smart connectors and of course, give us a new Magic Keyboard that connects via MagSafe. This could see upgrades like better material choices, because the current material sucks in terms of long-term use, and so switching to metal like Bridges keyboards could be better, but also we could see additional ports and a function row on the keyboards. We could also get a new pencil because it's about time we get one since the 2nd gen was released back with the 2018 iPad Pros, and the upgrades we could see are new gestures to increase the thickness of the pencil when drawing, but also of course a camera in the tip that could be used to pick colours from the natural worlds. There's also been rumours regarding a matte black edition, that would be great. And by the way, regarding colour choices, I'm hoping we get new colours like gold or midnight, or even space black, just something different from, of course, space grey and silver. Oh, by the way, one more wildcard feature, but we could see Dynamic Island on the iPad Pros. That would be great, and it could maybe allow for the cameras to move to a horizontal position on the iPads. I think many do want this, and while I'm not sure that Apple has space for this, since the charging strip's right above where the camera would be, I do hope Apple gives us this. I am also hoping that maybe with the delay of iPadOS, Apple's going to give us exclusive software features with the M2 iPads, but I am aware that's pretty unlikely. Anyways, those are the somewhat exciting refreshes. Now moving on to the new MacBooks, this is really just a chip refresh, so we could see the M2 Pro and Max in this, and there has been confusion regarding the upgrades. Some believe it's going to retain the 5nm process the M2's based on, which of course results in pretty minor refreshes, but others, including myself, do think there is a chance we could see the 4nm process we saw with the A16 chip and get much bigger performance upgrades. And yeah, considering most things are not changing with these MacBooks, it's important we get big performance upgrades to convince consumers to get this and not get the M1 models on clearance. And yeah, that's about it for the changes. We could see HDMI 2.1 support, also maybe Bluetooth 5.3 like the iPhones, maybe more RAM, maybe better battery life due to the efficiency of the new cores. But yeah, that's about it. This is going to be a minor refresh, and that makes sense because the M1 models was such a big upgrade. Oh, actually, we could get new colours, maybe a midnight or even a space black, that would be great. I think those would be nice changes. Now, the last two Macs that are pretty unlikely in my opinion, but of course could maybe release at this event, are the Mac Mini and the Mac Pro refresh with Apple Silicon. Now, beginning with the Mac Minis, John Prosser did show renders of a new design that did look nice, but more credible source Mark Gurman believes that no, there's not going to be a design change. And that actually makes more sense because the Mac Mini's a pretty low volume product, and so redesigning this makes no sense, especially when the current design is kinda perfect for what is essentially a box. Also, the Mac Studio is based on the existing Mac Mini design, so of course, the Mac Mini to get a completely different design would not fit in the lineup, and so yes, I think design's going to be the same for the most part. However, we are going to see the M2 but also the M2 Pro in this, and also maybe additional ports, and I think the big selling point with the Mac Mini is going to be the fact there's going to be tons of cooling, so even with the base M2 chip, I'm expecting performance upgrades because it's not thermally constrained. And as we saw with the MacBook Air thermal issues, maybe the M2 does need better thermals, so yeah, the Mac Mini is going to be great when it comes to the performance. And by the way, the M2 Pro Mac Mini should replace the existing Space Gray Mac Mini in the range, which of course is a very outdated product, yet, and so I'm glad Apple's finally replacing that. And by the way, in case you're wondering, the M2 Pro should get a 12-core CPU and also maybe increases in the GPU cores. And so yeah, for those who don't need MacBooks but want something better than the regular M2 chip, the M2 Pro Mac Mini is going to be perfect. And because the design is going to be the same for the most part, there should not be price hikes. At least in the US, because I'm sure outside of the US, due to inflation, prices are going to increase. Now finally we get to the Mac Pro, and personally I don't think we're seeing this yet. I think the whole point we got the Mac Studio was of course to give Apple some time to work on the Mac Pro, so personally I see this releasing at WWDC 2023 instead. And really the best case scenario would be a preview, but I don't think the release is going to be in 2022. Now roughly this Mac should give us double the performance the Mac Studio offers, and so there should be 40 CPU cores and 96 GPU cores. That's a massive increase, but I think Apple wants to also give us 3nm, further increasing the performance and the efficiency of this chip, hence why I don't think there's going to be a 2022 release. And actually I can see Apple taking their time and of course retaining modularity with this Mac Pro, because the true professionals who want this do like to expand their machine's power further on, so of course giving us upgradability with this Mac Pro would be appreciated. But again, that's why I don't think the release is happening anytime soon. So yes, it's very unlikely we're going to see this, and really the only Mac that seems very likely is the MacBook Pro, because there has been recent reports regarding it. However, we have not heard much about the Mac Pro and the Mac Mini recently, so of course those are not as likely to release. Anyways, that's about it guys, but tell me in the comments below which products do you expect to see at the October event. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the video above on details regarding the M2 iPad Pros, and on that note, see ya peeps.